Welcome, friends. And today we are going to start optical activity. It will be a series of lectures on optical activity as per your syllabus. So, let us begin with the lectures. First lecture on optical activity and optical isomerism. Okay. This is my mail ID. In case you have any difficulties, please feel free to mail me and I will answer your queries. So, let us start with what are optical isomers. We discussed in the previous series of lectures what are geometric isomers. And we said geometric isomers arise because of the restricted rotation around the bond. Most of the times it is a double bond, but in some cases it is restricted rotation around single bond in cyclic compounds and related compounds. Okay, so optical isomers are different from geometric isomers. They have same molecular formula, but a different 3D structure. Uh, Two optical isomers are non-superimposable mirror images of each other. Okay. If any compound exists in two optically isomeric forms, then these two compounds are non-superimposable mirror images of each other. The simplest example of non-superimposable mirror image is that of your left hand and right hand. Okay, these two are non-superimposable mirror images. You try to turn your hand in any way, it will not superimpose. Similarly, these naturally occurring objects are optical isomers of each other. Some are sort of left-handed and some are sort of right-handed. However you turn them, they will not be able to superimpose on each other. Similarly, a carbon containing four different valencies, as shown in this figure, is chiral carbon. That means it exists in two optical isomeric forms. Okay. This is the original, not original, this is the first compound and this is its mirror image. However you try to superimpose, these two will not be able to superimpose on each other, just as two hands or any other chiral object does not superimpose. Okay, so optical isomers are compounds which are non-superimposable mirror images of each other. An optically active compound containing carbon is known as chiral carbon. But let us dive into what is chirality. A molecule is said to be chiral when it cannot superimpose on the mirror image. Okay, this we have discussed. Chiral molecules have same physical and chemical properties, but react differently with plain polarized light. That is the only thing which can differentiate two optical isomers from each other. These two optical isomers are called as, which are mirror images of each other, are called as enantiomers. Okay? Enantiomers. Two optical isomers which are mirror images of each other are also called as enantiomers. Now, optical isomers rotate the plane of polarized light in differently. That is, one of the enantiomer rotates the plane of polarized light to the left and other rotates it to the right. This is the randomly oriented light. When you allow it to pass through a polarizing filter, this becomes a plane polarized light when all the oscillations are in the same plane. Now, this plane polarized light, when it is passed through a chiral sample, it is rotated either to the right or to the left. A compound Now, which compounds can you call as chiral compounds? A compound is classified as a chiral compound if it lacks any of the following symmetry elements. There are three different symmetry elements: plane of symmetry, center of symmetry, and alternating axis of symmetry. Let us see each one by one. An object is said to possess plane of symmetry if there exists a plane that divides the object into two equal halves, with one half being mirror image of the other. Just have a look at this cube. There is a plane shown in checkerboard. This plane divides the cube into two equal halves, one being mirror image of the other. A vertical plane can also exist. Similarly, a diagonal plane can exist, which divides the cube into two equal halves, one being the mirror image of other. So such objects, there are many objects around us which possess a plane of symmetry. Imagine a conical flask. A conical flask contains n number of planes of symmetry. Similarly, a beaker, if this is the conical flask, it contains n number of planes of symmetry, right? A beaker which has a beak contains at least one plane of symmetry. Okay? There are many objects around you in the lab. A round bottom flask. A round bottom flask contains many planes of symmetry. You can divide it like this. You can divide it in a different way. It contains planes of symmetry. A carbon with two same groups attached. Okay, a carbon with two same groups attached possesses a plane of symmetry. Just have a look at this. This is a 3D structure of a sp3 hybrid carbon and two groups are same. The 2D structure can be written like this, where it possesses a plane of symmetry and therefore it is non-chiral or achiral. Getting this? And that is why the notion that a carbon with four different groups attached to it is optically active or chiral carbon. Everybody, I suppose, is able to follow this. Actually, this is because a carbon with four different groups attached to it does not possess a plane of symmetry, and so it is chiral. This is an achiral object, a bottle, but hands are chiral objects because just see, you cannot superimpose them one on the other. Now, let us have a look at plane of symmetry in a molecule with multiple chiral carbons. Okay, a molecule may have two or more chiral carbons. But if the molecule as a whole possesses plane of symmetry, then such molecule is optically inactive. That is, it does not rotate the plane of polarized light. In other words, plane of symmetry is a property that is associated with a molecule and not with a carbon. Okay? Plane of symmetry is a property that is associated with a molecule. But there can exist, even though there is a plane of symmetry in the molecule, there can exist two chiral carbons and they should be included in the nomenclature. Let us have a look at this. Okay, this carbon is chiral because there are four different groups attached. This carbon is also chiral because there are four different groups attached. But there exists a plane of symmetry. This plane of symmetry divides the molecule into two equal halves, one being the mirror image of the other. And so, this molecule as a whole is optically inactive, although it contains two chiral centers. Such molecule is called as a mesomolecule. Okay? There is a plane of symmetry. The molecule is optically inactive, although there are two chiral carbons in the molecule. The second symmetry element. Okay. This is more applicable to the cyclic structures. Okay. Center of symmetry is a point within the molecule such that when a line is extended on one side and the other side, that when a line is extended on either side from this point, it meets identical elements at identical distances. Have a look. This is the center of symmetry. You draw a line. It meets this hydrogen. It meets this hydrogen at identical distances. It meets COH over here. On the other side also, it meets COH. Let us try to see some other examples. Okay, if you draw a line like this, it meets carbonyl oxygen on one side and also carbonyl oxygen on the other side. Nitrogen on one side, nitrogen on the other side. CH3 on one side and CH3 on the other side. So such structures have center of symmetry. And because they have center of symmetry, they are optically inactive. Third point is alternating axis of symmetry. I request everybody to pay proper attention to alternating axis of symmetry. Okay, a molecule is said to possess alternating axis of symmetry when it is rotated through an angle about this axis, and then this is followed by reflection in a plane perpendicular to this axis. The molecule is indistinguishable from the original molecule. So let us have a look at this. This is the molecule, okay? This molecule, okay? We will try to rotate it by 90 degrees. When we rotate it by 90 degrees, around this axis, what happens? This goes over here. Just have a look at this. This atom goes over here. Have a look at this. This carbon is now rotated to this point. Have a look at the similarities. And this carbon goes to, so carbon number 4 goes to 1. Have a look at this rotated structure, rotation by 90 degrees. Carbon number 1 goes to carbon number 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4. Okay, so now we have got a rotated structure. Now you have to reflect in a plane perpendicular to this axis. This axis is like this. So a plane perpendicular, say suppose this is a y type of axis, then the plane perpendicular will be x-axis. So you reflect it in a plane perpendicular to the rotation axis. So in the x-axis, imagine that a mirror is here. So when you imagine the mirror, this is like a water reflection, okay? X-axis reflection is always like a water reflection. So just have a look. This is carbon number 2 and its opposite will be carbon number 3 in the image. Opposite of 1 will be carbon number 4. Opposite of 3 will be, here it is pointing downwards. In the image, when it is pointing downwards, in the image it will be pointing upwards and so on. Now look at this structure. Is it identical to the original structure? Yes, it is identical to the original structure. Don't look at these numbers. These numbers are written for you to imagine. But without these numbers, the structure is identical, right? So, since the structure is identical, this molecule is said to possess an alternating axis of symmetry. And so, this molecule is optically inactive. Those of you who have understood center of symmetry will realize that there is no need to do all these procedures because this molecule, does it possess center of symmetry? Does it possess a center of symmetry? No, it does not possess a center of symmetry. Okay, but it possesses an alternating axis of symmetry. Now coming to the terms, enantiomers. Enantiomers are chiral molecules which are non-superimposable mirror images of each other. Okay, they are non-superimposable mirror images of each other. They are also called as optical isomers. We have already covered that they have identical physical and chemical properties and they differ in their optical rotation. Each compound with n number of chiral atoms possesses 2 raised to n optical isomers. So, if there are two chiral atoms, the compound will possess 4 optical isomers. Now, these 4 optical isomers need not always, any molecule will have one single mirror image. So 4 isomers are 2 pairs of mirror images. Just have a look at this. This is compound number 1. And compound number 2 is a mirror image of compound number 1. Can everybody see this? This is mirror image. Compound number 3 and 4 are also mirror images of each other. Can everybody see this? Compound number 3 and 4, if there is a mirror over here, they are mirror images of each other. But look at relationship between compound number 2 and 3. Are they mirror images? No, they are not mirror images. They differ at the configuration of one carbon only. Can everybody see? This top carbon is in mirror image form, but the lower carbon is not a mirror image form. Such two compounds, which are optical isomers of each other, but they are not enantiomers, they are not mirror images of each other, are called as diastereomers. Okay? They are optical isomers, that is, they have more than one chiral carbon, and they are not mirror images of each other. They are called as diastereomers. The concept is clear to everybody. Similarly, 2 and 4 are diastereomers of each other. They differ at this carbon. Okay, the configuration of this carbon is same. The configuration at this carbon is mirror image of each other. So, such compounds which are not complete mirror images of each other but they are optical isomers of each other are called as diastereomers. They are not mirror images of each other and therefore but they are non-superimposable on one another. Okay, they are not mirror images, they are non-superimposable on one another, and stereoisomers with 2 or more stereo centers can exist as diastereomers. You must have studied in biochemistry erythrose and threose sugars. So 2 erythrose sugars are mirror images of each other. 2 threose sugars are mirror images of each other. But 1 erythrose and 1 threose are diastereomers of each other. Okay, with this, we have completed the introduction part of optical isomerism. And in the next lecture, we will see the nomenclature and other details for optical isomers, that is enantiomers or diastereomers. We will see the nomenclature and other details. Till then, goodbye. Keep studying. If you like the lecture, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so that you will get intimation about future lectures uploaded. All the best.